us the tragic night that combined with Moonville and Elizabeth's grave. Plus, we have these dry spells of not hanging out with each other for quite some time. And you hit me up one day saying, "Hey bud, you want to go ghost hunting?" And this is right around the time that I was trying to get the pitch crew back into order.
Yeah.
And so you wanted to take your son with us because he loves the paranormal.
Yeah, he's I don't know, I think that night kind of I don't think it put him out on it, but I think it opened his eyes just to how real it can be when you ask specific questions, or you get a night that's just a little bit more active than another.
Yeah, and for those people that don't know already, Moonville Tunnel is the place I take people that want to experience ghosts for the first time. I always do that because it's a very low risk type of place. And that night, we meet up at Logan Walmart.
Yep.
We greet each other like we this is the first time seeing each other in like 4 years.
Yeah, it was something like that, close to that. Yeah.
And we go, "Oh hey, let's go to Moonville Tunnel," because that's the place I wanted to take Bub for his first time.
Yeah.
And that's Haydenville exit into. That's
out by Lake Hope, kind of.
Yeah, Lake Hope State Park. I think it's Zane Trace Park or just Lake Hope.
It's not Zaleski State.
Yeah, it's Zaleski. That's right.
State Forest. Yeah.
Okay, so I took him down there, and at the time I think I only had the spirit box and the meter.
Yeah. And
the spirit box was spewing out what we wanted. This was voices from the other side. They were communicating. One little detail I want to point in is that there was a couple of gentlemen there who had steel wool. This was a TikTok trend back in the day.
Yeah.
This was lighting steel wool on fire.
I don't even think it was TikTok, bro. I think it was still Vine, bro. I think it was still Vine in 2018. Like, Vine was dying and TikTok was coming out. I think that was like the last hurrah for Vine, maybe.
Yeah. So basically this trend is steel wool, lighting it on fire and swinging it around, supposedly causing like a flare-up and looking cool on video. So I asked these guys to, this is basically me saying provoke these spirits by doing this. And Bub, at this point, I think is getting a little shaken up.
Yeah, he is. Because they started doing that, and Bub swore up and down that he saw something in the sparks, which I'm pretty certain me and you debunked that it was just part of the wool flying off.
Yeah.
But that boy still to this day swears up and down he saw a face in that big ball of sparks, and there's no convincing him otherwise. But it was after these several things of these wool, we started getting some heavy hits on the spirit box. And when I say heavy, I mean we're not even having to really ask questions, and it's telling us names of us, and it's telling everybody in the group what we have. One of the real weird things that happened is I, at that time, had a very distinctive sheath knife that is used for like security, prisons, law enforcement, anything along those lines. That's what that knife is marketed for that for its purposes and things. But it's very, very hard to move that knife when you have it on a belt. It's very hard to move it because I had it bolted around the belt, so it cinches into the leather. It has teeth that bites in, so it doesn't move at all. And at this time, I was not as big as I am now. I was probably 220, and for 6'2", that's kind of light. And at some point, the spirit box says knife. And I was like, did this damn thing just say knife? And Travis was like, I don't know, I think it did. And it fucking said knife again. And no sooner than it said it, I about jumped out of my pants because I thought somebody in the group was trying to pull my knife, but when I turned around, there's no one behind me other than a wall. Everybody's in front of me or beside me. And my knife was underneath my shirt.
Yeah. Well, yeah, keep in mind, the only people that were there, here's the following. Those two guys, me, you, Bub, my sister, my nephew, and Thomas.
Yeah.
Nobody was around you at that point.
Yeah.
And this knife decided to wiggle on you.
Yeah. No, that was the start of where it started getting serious. And then what was it? What was the female's name that it said afterwards?
I can't remember, but I think it was the name of the lavender one that is residing in that tunnel.
Yeah. Because it wasn't the name of anybody in the group.
No. No.
Because there's no sooner than it said that woman's name, it then turned around and said died. Well, okay. Who's died?
Well, that moment, we started getting whiffs of lavender perfume, which is the calling card of this woman's spirit.
Well, this is the same night that we saw the white apparition at the far end of the tunnel.
This
and
is
we
true.
had no lights down there. No lights shining down there, just complete darkness, and then boom, white apparition.
Yeah.
What the... What?
Well, we really can't explain that. But, you know, as soon as I see Bub, like, really getting shooken up and his eyes are getting wide and whatnot, I say, Dakota, maybe it's time to move on to the next spot and chill.
Yeah.
The thing of it is that this is where it gets kind of weird. So, we're taking, I think it's 238.
Yeah, I think it was 238.
We're taking 238 back to Nelsonville.
Yeah.
Right around this time, I don't have the bad luck of striking an animal with my car.
Yeah, and the thing is like, I am super, super well aware of like looking for animals that are going to run out into the road, things like that. I mean, and anybody that grew up in the area that we grew up in knows like at that time of year, you know, deer are moving.
Yeah.
You're watching for them. You know what to look for. You know the signs to see, and that goes for just about any animal. And at the time, we're both driving cars.
Yeah.
So hitting anything bigger than a possum or a raccoon, you're looking at possible damage to a vehicle. So I'm definitely not in the mood to hit anything. I don't want to touch anything with the front of this car because at the time it was one of the newer car that I had.
What, the Dodge Magnum?
No, I had the 2017 Nissan Sentra SR at that point.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so we're cruising along. I'm doing maybe 3 to 5 over the speed limit at this point. So nothing crazy. We're not out there trying to be street racers or anything. We're just getting to where we can get gas and stuff. And there's no trees on either side of the road. It's flat on both sides of the road. And there's nothing. And then all of a sudden, there's a fucking medium-sized dog in the middle of my fucking car. And there's no stopping. If I swerve, I'm going into a ditch on either side, and I'm putting my son and my life in danger. So at this point, I have less than a second of reaction time, and it's just smack.
Yeah.
Hit this fucking dog. And that is the turning point where...
And the thing of it is, this is where we kind of split off, because you got lost.
No, I was ahead, and I had it plugged in my GPS, and I knew 180 so well, because we hopped on 33, and we were running down 33 towards 180.
Yeah.
Because the goal was to go somewhere in Chillicothe, and I had it in my GPS. So I'm flying at 180. I know the road's like the back of my hand, and I'm just zooming. And at some point, I look in my rearview mirror, and I don't see your headlights anymore. And I'm like, well, I don't have freaking service. I can't call him. So I drove up. Once I noticed that you weren't behind me, like headlight-wise, I drove up maybe another mile or so, found a pull-off. I pulled off, and me and Bob waited there for, I would say, 30, 40 minutes, and I didn't see any headlights. So I started thinking the worst. I started thinking, okay, so he died in a fucking car crash. I need to turn around and go back. So I turned around, I drove back like 3 or 4 miles back the way I had come from, and still didn't find your car. So at this point, I was living in Laurelville, and I looked at Bub and like, hey, Bub, I can't find him. I can't get a hold of him. I need to get to where I have cell service so I can try to get a hold of him.
Yes.
I get to the house. I get Bub inside, get him laid down. He's still kind of shook up, getting, something to drink, a little snack. And he pretty much drinks and eats that, goes to bed, and he's fine from there. And I remember sending a text message and trying to call, saying, hey, I was ahead of you, lost you, turned around, looked for you, couldn't find you, I went home. And that was kind of the end of our night for me, mainly because at that point I had a lead foot.
Well, this is where the turn of the night goes from me. Okay, so you're hauling ass. I'll just say that right now. You were hauling. I couldn't keep up with you, even because this was right around the time I had the Outback.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is right around the time I had the Outback. I think it's my first year, actually. So this is actually probably right around 2020. Right around the turn of the COVID.
Yeah, it was right before COVID.
Right before COVID,
Yeah.
So, here we are. I lose you, 100%. I can't get a hold of you because at the time I had one of the crappiest phones.
Yeah, one of them little straight talk $45 phones from Walmart.
And I couldn't get any cell service, so I was just like, you know what, guys? Dakota isn't coming. He probably went home. I kind of guessed correctly.
maybe just a little.
And I said, you know what? Let's go to Elizabeth's grave without him. And at this point, I'm 24 hours awake. I'm super tired, super exhausted, but I'm like, no, this night is not going to end with us just going to Moonville Tunnel. Hell no. I'm like, okay, let me get a couple monsters from the gas station. Let's go to Chillicothe. And we did. We're going on to Egypt Pike. That's the road that leads to Pleasant Valley Cemetery, aka Elizabeth's grave. And, no sooner did we get out of the car, we're getting prepared and whatnot, all of a sudden, all we hear is, woman, demon scream. Out of nowhere. And this is dusk. This is like broad morning daylight. I can see everything, the cemetery and whatnot, and this scream comes out of nowhere, and I go, everyone get back in the car now. No sooner did I get back in the car than I turned around and I boogied on that freaking road. And I tell you this story, and you're like, oh man, that's crazy. I don't know why I give you an Australian accent. But yeah, that was that night. And that night left a nice mark on what ghost hunting we did. Or what we have done.
Yeah. I mean, it leads to a lot of other things that kind of brought us to coming back to certain spots or going to new spots.
Yeah.
And trying different methods and things to see what we could kick up dust-wise. And I think we got something going here. I think we leave them with this little bit to chew on, and we'll give them some more a little later.
Alrighty, well this has been an episode of Real People, Real Ghost Stories, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Please subscribe to the Punkcraft channel. Please hit that notification bell. And thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Bye!